You too. How's everyone doing? Jags to Riches, James Peters, thank you all so much for your time. Boston Celtics NBA season has officially begun. Ladies and gentlemen, wow. I just got finished watching multiple games throughout the course of this evening, coming off the heels of our opening night last night, where we seen our Boston Celtics go up against the Philadelphia 76ers, followed by the defending champ Golden State Warriors and the Los Angeles Lakers. But I got to see the return of Zion after 500 days battling up against KD in Brooklyn. You got to see Charlotte going up against San Antonio, Orlando versus Detroit. There was so many different games that were going on that I was kind of flipping back and forth between. So just an awesome feeling that the NBA is back. And that, of course, our Boston Celtics opened up with a huge win against, again, the rival Philadelphia 76ers, 126 to 117. And make no mistake, that's a big win against a really good team. Remember, this is a team in Philly that they finished first off with the exact same record as the Celtics. Remember, it was essentially a three-way tie when it came to records between the Celtics, Sixers, and Bucks last year. And you had Joel Embiid, arguably, right there with Jokic as the best center in the game, second in MVP last year. One of the favorites to win it this year. And then you have James Harden. And not only do you have James Harden, he looked incredible. You're not going to get a much better performance out of Harden. So, big win because a lot of their core, like their big four, statistically, they looked really good. So for the Celtics to battle early on, answer the call, and then to open it up in that second half like they did, it was incredible. We'll go through the box score, talk about some key takeaways. I do want to talk on Grant and his extension just briefly, especially after how he performed in game one. There has been a narrative going around about, are the Jays the best duo in the NBA? I do want to touch on that a little bit. And then again, briefly, kind of look ahead at what's next, because we do got a tough game with Miami Heat coming up tomorrow. But let's not waste any time. First, Boston Celtics box score, 126, 117. And forgive me, I did try to record this video several times yesterday. I just for whatever reason, I just couldn't stick the damn landing. So I got frustrated with, like, the hell with this shit. I'll come back to it. So here we are. Hopefully this goes better. But you talking about better. How about the Jays? Tatum and Brown, 35 points apiece. These two scored for a combined 70 points. Unreal. Talk about an opening game to the season, coming out with an absolute statement. Starting with Jason Tatum, 35 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists. He was 13 for 20 from the field, 2 for 7 from the three, 7 for 9 from the free throws. That's also incredible when you think of the fact that out of the 35 points, only 7 of them came from the free throw and only 6 came from the 3-point. So he was in attack mode, getting downhill, physical, bouncing bodies off of him and getting to the basket. Jaylen Brown, 35 points also, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. He was 14 for 24 from the field, 4 for 12 from the three. And I want to talk on Malcolm Brogdon for a second. That gentleman, wow. We were excited about the offseason acquisition of him just based on who he's been in the NBA, the success that he's had, Rookie of the Year. Obviously he was excellent in his run with Milwaukee. And I think that's kind of similar to what the role you'll see him play here in Boston. But then when he went to Indiana, he really kind of fell and, came into his own there, averaged over 20 points, 6 plus assists essentially every single year. And pretty much was one of their, big two, if you will, with Sabonis year in and year out. So for him to come in and after the preseason where multiple games, he would have 9 assists and opening night, 16 points, 7 for 11 from the field. And he was 0 for 2 from 3, 4 assists, 2 rebounds, 2 steals. I just thought that you could just tell he is instantly the best playmaker on our team. His ability to attack and get to the rim, his ability to actually look to score. And again, he's coming off of the bench. I honestly do not know for how long. I just think a player of his caliber, and especially with, Rob being out, it's probably only a matter of time before that gentleman gets inserted into the starting lineup. But even if he doesn't, the fact that, I mean, Brogdon is going to be an exciting player to watch throughout this year. And speaking of exciting, Grant Williams coming off the bench as well. Both of those gentlemen with 24 minutes. Grant Williams would have 15 points and would be a perfect 5 for 5 from the field, 3 for 3 from the three-pointer. I also do want to mention our man and reigning defensive player of the year, Marcus Smart, 14 points, 7 big assists to lead the Celtics. But of course, you always got to show some love and respect to the opponent. 76ers did come up short, but when you look at, statistically from an individual standpoint, I mean, not too bad, right? James Harden, speaking of 35 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 9 for 14, 5 for 9, 12 for 12. I mean, that's a hell of a game from James Harden. Joel Embiid really did start off slow. I mean, I want to say he had 11 points in the first half compared to Harden, who had 22. The Celtics did a really good job of just double teaming his ass and making it extremely uncomfortable, but still, he went for 26 points and 15 rebounds, 9 for 18 from the field, 1 for 6 from the three. I mean, Tobias Harris, 18 points, Tyrese Maxey, 21 points. I mean, again, I would say, with exception to Matisse Thybulle not really getting too much run when you think of having Jalen and Jason going off, I would, anticipate their best, all NBA level defender to be inserted to try to slow these guys down. Instead, they were going with, House and Harrell and Melton. So that would pretty much be my only, interesting thing I'd like to ask Doc about. Like, hey, maybe just a suggestion here when you have two wings going for 70 points combined, maybe you throw in an all NBA defender. Jesus. But besides that, guys, that's what I mean. Each of their four big, their core, I mean, they all had a really good game. So for the Celtics to really pull ahead and to close out in the fashion that they did, I mean, very, very impressive. Now, when you look at it from a like quarter by quarter breakdown, again, that first half very close. It was 29-24 at the end of the first, with Philly having the lead. The second, and that really was more so about the fact that James Harden just lived at that damn 3-point line. We continued to foul his ass. I think it was literally 3 different occasions where he was fouled, and it was essentially an and one. Then there was a tech thrown. Then it was just, what are we doing here? The fouls just throughout that first half. And again, opening night, very excited, very physical. Everyone's juiced up. This is a big time rivalry based game with two teams that got, title, you get it. So they had to settle into it, settle down a little bit. And that's exactly what they did, because going into halftime, it was 63 apiece. Again, if you look at that first half, you had 11 and Harden with 22. Now, the third quarter is where the Celtics would really, really, start to pull away. And that was behind the incredible play of Jason Tatum, who would have 17 points in that third quarter all alone to give the Celtics a double-digit lead heading into the fourth, 98-88. And then in the fourth quarter, the C's would just essentially hold a 12, 13-point lead throughout. Up until like maybe the last minute is when the Sixers would kind of, close the gap a little bit more. But the Celtics, again, in that second half, after a huge third quarter, they would just pretty much pull away and handle and hold on to the lead throughout. But again, a well fought battle against a really good team. If you look at some of the team stats, Celtics, we shot better from the field overall, 56-50. Our 3-point percentage, we were at 26 at half, finished a little bit over 34. So good to see them actually, shoot much better in the second half. We out rebounded them 36-31. More assists, 24-16. Less turnovers, very key. 11. I love it. But I would say that the most important and the key stat for me was that our bench outscored theirs 34-11. And again, Brogdon, Grant. I mean, when you have those two guys coming off of the bench, I mean, most nights you expect, to outscore, any opponent when you have those two. I mean, those two really were sensational. But again, let me just spend a second here to reflect on Tatum and Brown and just to give these two gentlemen their flowers. I mean, we already know what these two are, how spectacular they are, what they've accomplished. I mean, you're talking about two gentlemen that are 24 and 25 years old, have played their entire career together, several Eastern Conference finals together, now an NBA final run. I mean, they've accomplished everything with exception to actually winning a title. Multiple All Stars. You got an All NBA, multiple All NBAs with Tatum. I mean, and the fact that Tatum, who is historically a slow starter, and when I say slow starter, for example, I want to say over the course of the first month of last season, he was averaging about 23 points a game. Whereas when you got into like December, January, his ass was up in the 27s. And then obviously March is when he, in my opinion, clearly transcended into that superstardom stratosphere where I think he had multiple player of the week awards. He was on some other shit. So that's when I say slow start is still 23 points a game. So whereas Brown over that, the course of last season early on was averaging over 26, about 26 and a half points. Remember, he had that 40 piece against the Knicks in overtime that game. Um, but again, so you've got Tatum, historic slow starter, Brown, he's always known as that fast starter. For both of them to come out with the energy, the pace that this team has been playing with, and just the mindset of we are going to attack and we are going to send a message, and the fact of everything that this team went through over this course of the offseason. I mean, you talk about a roller coaster. Holy shit. We were on cloud nine at the start of the offseason, were we not? Heels of an NBA Finals game six, and you get Brogdon and Gallo, and it's like you don't lose any of your core. Shit, we were just wanting them to get Pat Connington or Patty Mills, and they brought in Brogdon. So we are, again on cloud nine. It was an excellent home run. Brad Stevens, Ime Udoka, second year. Oh my God, everything's great. And then he got a little chippy with the whole KD drama and all the Jalen trade, but we can handle that. It is what it is. Then we lose Gallo. Fuck that, that sucks. It is what it is, though. Then we lose Rob. Originally, it's going to be like a month or two. Now it's half the damn season. Oh shit. Then the damn next day, the Ime Udoka scandal drops. So, and that's really right before the start of training camp and preseason. So for this team to again to just be able to be focused, and as again I'll mention my man Brown stated basketball being a great equalizer, and just to get back to the game that they love and to come out and perform the way that they did, I'm very proud of this team. Congratulations to Joe Mazzulla on his first win as a interim, his first win as an NBA head coach, and the youngest in the NBA right now to do it. So again, very proud of him. Without question, he outcoached Doc Rivers. So that's a really big deal and a big statement. But the only other thing I will, well, real quick, and to really think about the fact that Rob Williams at some point is going to be getting added back to this team. I mean, wow. I mean, for them to hold Embiid, who is again, I think as dominant as the center as it gets, just the job that they did on him as a collective unit and team really is just inspiring. It makes me feel great about them moving forward. Um, Especially because when even though it's, Al is gonna do what Al Horford always has done. He's gonna obviously slow a little bit. He's getting a little older, but at the same time, when you see how Grant Williams, even like the Noah Vonleys, how they perform throughout preseason, still got Cornette coming back. Blake Griffin. I'm feeling much better about this front court. And again, in big part, it is to the gentleman I am transitioning to, Grant Williams. Again, 15 points was a perfect 5 for 5, 3 for 3 from the field. Now, there was a lot about his contract. Obviously, he did not sign, and there's a lot of should the Celtics have or have not. And basically, I just kind of want to give my opinion on it. I really don't have like the official numbers or anything along those lines on what may or may not have been offered. But when I think of like Brandon Clark getting I think it was 4 year, 52, something along those lines, I, to me, that is exactly where Grant should be, right in the 13 million per season, 4 for 52. But for some reason, I just can't believe the Celtics wouldn't offer him that. So when I think that, it makes me think, shit, was he offering like 460? Or, it kind of gets me to the point where it's like, what exactly would be too much to retain Grant Williams, right? So again, I would really push for the Ford for 52, but I also don't mind seeing how this plays out. Remember, guys, coming into last season, his ass was on the chopping block. He responded in a big way. He was instrumental, core piece to this team. Won us game 7 against, the Bucks in a classic game of a classic series. So let's just see him build on that. He's continued to, 40 plus percent 3-point shooter. He's our best 3-point shooter last year. Really, really established himself in this 3 and D role, switchable. I mean, the job that he did on some of the biggest players and biggest names in the NBA, KD, Giannis. I mean, he was great in our playoff run last year. So I do not mind him, just building off of that and just showing us that it wasn't a fluke. Because remember, I mean, that was essentially a make it or break it. Your job is on the line, and he responded. Now it's a contract year. I anticipate he will continue to respond. So I also think that, don't forget, Al Horford's big, big contract is going to be coming off the books at the end of this season. So, it makes you think maybe they're wanting to see, Al Grant. Essentially, that will completely be wiped, and maybe they're just going to want to scan the horizon, see, you got Jokic, Vucevic. There's a bunch of, big name front court members that will be available next offseason. So maybe they just want to see how it plays out. But then again, with Al becoming available, it is maybe surprising that they didn't look to maybe secure Grant just for, the future of a potential replacement. But again, I have no problem with them not signing him. Honestly, I kind of wish that they did, just based on having the peace of mind. And I think if you could have got him 13, 14, whatever, I mean, with the anticipation of how the cap's going to be coming down with this new TV deal you continue to hear about, I don't think that shit's going to matter that much. But again, I'm sure he'll play great. Let all the managers handle all that shit behind the scenes. Trust him, Brad Stevens. It's that simple to me. But again, guys, you see, I pretty much have had all scores from around the league playing throughout just below us. NBA is in full effect before any and every single Celtics game. Please check me out. Check us out over on Celtics Corner for our pregame shows. Excellent show for our game one. Of course, you had me, you had Bobby, we had Carlito, and we had two new members, special guest Mario and Wavy. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for your time. You did an excellent job. We got the Miami Heat up next. Now, they did lose to the Bulls 116-108, and that was without Zach LaVine and Lonzo Ball. So, they're going to want to get one back, especially against the team that knocked them out in the Eastern Conference Finals. So, Eastern Conference Finals rematch coming up tomorrow against the Miami Heat. I'm off on Friday night, so I'm debating on going live, but if not, I definitely will have a post game, recap shortly after the game wraps up. But again, thank you all so much for your time. Jags to Riches, James Peters. I hope you have an excellent rest of your day and conclusion to your week. Take care, guys. Thank you.